somebody who knows the sport of boxing like very few do, and that is Hedy, the matchmaker of SES Boxing. I'd like to ask Hedy to come up to the podium.
Hedy, quadruple, baby!
Thank you. On behalf of Ulf Steinfurt, SES Boxing, we did make it the whole way from Europe to Brooklyn. We are happy to be here with Jan Tavoris, who is coming to fight, and he will fight. Saturday night it will be a real test for this young gun. But he will test him. He will be here. We came over and we'll do it. Thank you for Golden Boy. Thank you for Kerry, HBO, and the quadruple.
Quadruple, baby!
Thank you.
Thank you, Hedy. Jan Savek has been world champion. He is today a top welterweight on the international scene, winning several regional titles in Europe before stopping Isaac Hlacvaja in 3 rounds in December 2009 to win the IBF welterweight world championship. He successfully defended his crown 3 times before losing it in 2009 to, in 2011 to Andre Berto. On March 2012, he had a win against Ushona, and it put Savek right back in title contention. So he's looking at this as an important fight at this point in his career. As Hedy said, he's coming here to win, and he will certainly give Keith Thurman a real test. It's a pleasure for me now to introduce to you the former IBF welterweight world champion, Jan Savek.
Thank you. It's been my pleasure to hear. Of course, I come here and I promise it's gonna be Saturday one big night, one terrible and good fight. I know Keith will win, I will win, and that is the reason for one hell of a good fight in Saturday, and we both gonna be show that here is not just the word, that behind that is much more work, much more things people see and think, and we are set. Saturday is our night, and welcome to everybody.
I mentioned before the young blazing guns of the Golden Boy stable, and I think right on top of that certainly is Keith Thurman with a record of 19-0 with 18 knockouts, 95% knockout ratio, 13 fights he won in 2 rounds or less, and whenever we step him up it's just pretty much the same all over again. Really a terrific young man. Has a terrific trainer in his corner, who of course doesn't need much introduction because he has trained many former world champions, and he knows with Keith Thurman he has a future world champion there as well, and that of course is Dan Birmingham.
Hedy and I go way back. Hedy was Winky's matchmaker back in Paris, back in the early 90s. But today we work against each other. All I can say is, I'll make it short, Keith is very prepared, works very hard, and we're very confident we're going to win this fight. Thank you.
Thank you. He's only 24 years young, has a tremendous future ahead of him, and is really steamrolling through his opponents. As I mentioned, with a record of 19-0, 18 knockouts, Keith Thurman.
Thank you very much. I just want to say, what's up, Brooklyn? This is the first time I've ever been here. I'm from Florida. You know, everybody knows that New York is just one of the greatest cities in the United States and in the world. It's a real pleasure to just be here, you know, with B-Hop, a true legend. I look up to him as a fighter. I'm honored to be his co-main event, to be giving y'all a great performance. Zavik is a tough guy. I've witnessed his fights. He's never been down, and I love putting people to sleep. So to know that he's never been knocked down is just, once again, another challenge for me. I've trained hard for this fight. I truly look forward to this fight. Just please come out. Like they said, man, the tickets aren't that much. You got a legend over here trying to make history once again, even though he's already accomplished so much in his career. You know, he's going up against a young, thunderous puncher like myself. And we just got a great show for everybody. And I promise you, you know, you come in, you come early, you watch it. You know, if you got to stay at home, tune in, knock on your neighbor's door, do what you got to do to watch this fight, you know. I'm telling you, this is a great card. There's going to be great action. Thank you for everybody for coming out. Tune in Saturday night. One time. Don't blink.
Thank you one time, and one of a kind is next, Don King. Always a pleasure and fun to work with him. You never know what's going to happen. You know, my phone rang this morning and it was Don King. Of course, in typical Don King fashion, I mean, you can't blame him for it. Can't blame the man for trying. He was asking for more money, but you know, that's Don King. Always great to have you around, Don. You are a terrific promoter. You have done terrific things, and it's a pleasure now to introduce you. I didn't have to introduce you. Everybody knows you anyway. So, welcome, Don King.
Thank you, Richard. First, let me say, we'd be remiss if we did not recognize not only the commissioner of New York being a lady, but a beautiful lady and the beautifulest commissioner in the country. So this, when you say, what's in a name? That's what we call a rose, but any other name would smell as sweet. We're talking about Melvina Lincoln. And so let's give her a real name. Let's do it in New York style, baby. Yes. Adroit, proficient and effective, and does her job, and at the same time with a smile that just disarms you with her charm. Now, Melvina, thank you for having me in your home. I just love you, and I think it's just so wonderful. Now, let me say this here. Before I go into my spiel, which I'm going to have to talk about a few things. My friend, my brother passed yesterday, and I'm very humbled by that, and I think that the good Lord is called Hugo Chavez. Many people may or may not like him or whatever they may do, but I love him. He was my brother. I met him in 1971 when I opened up the Poliedro arena in Caracas, Venezuela. He was my security. He was a lieutenant in the army. We've been friends ever since, but his achievements and accomplishments was the people. I'm a promoter of the people, by the people, and for the people, and my magic lies in my people ties. This man represented Venezuela with the downtrodden, the underprivileged, the denied, the poor, and people that never seen doctors before, he took the doctors to the people rather than the people coming to the doctor. And so he's going to be missed greatly. He was a great leader, and he cared about the people that he represented. And so I just want to ask everyone, you know, to say a prayer, you know, for his spirit to go on up to heaven and meet our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ and be able to deal with what is real. So I'm going to ask Richard, like you say, you never know what it's going to be, because I'm here to help Richard Schaefer, because he's doing a tremendous job. His partner, Oscar, asked me to get him a rematch with Trinidad. He wants to come back to avenge his loss to Trinidad. And the same token, I want to ask Bernard, when he gets knocked out, that he can't lose. He can't lose because, as everyone has said, Bernard's accomplishments and achievements are far beyond that of the North. And so he's destined for the Hall of Fame, and he's really up at the top of the ladder. So when anything happens to him with the fitness, the way he looks like a young man, 25 years old, it can't be looked at with disdain. And so then Trinidad said if he do decide to come and beat Oscar again, he wants to avenge his one loss with Bernard. So whether Bernard can't lose the fight, so whatever it is, he's going to be a crowning achievement, you know what I mean? When Tavoris gets through with him, we don't care about that, no loss to Tavoris. Tavoris is undefeated. But then I would like for him to meet Trinidad again, not when post 9/11. In 9/11, as you know, we woke up in this great state of New York. It was the first event that happened in the free world after we had been attacked. Terrorism anywhere is a threat to freedom everywhere. And Tito worked very, very hard during the time of 9/11. And he was going with the hospital, going to the firemen and the people that were serving in the hospitals and everything that was done. So therefore, he really wasn't at the top of his game, not making excuses, but he really worked. Viva Puerto Rico! And so Tito worked with all of us here in New York, you know what I mean? And then in time when the fight came up, Bernard come in, and Bernard in his genius made him take off the gloves, made him rewrap his hands, all the little aggravating things that titillate your fancy and psychologically disarms you. So Tito became discombobulated. So there wasn't a real Tito that he met that night. It was a discombobulated Tito. So he would like to also recognize Bernard for his great achievements and be able to say he'd like to avenge his loss. So him and Oscar and Bernard, you got three legends right there, and you can be able to deal with it. But I'm telling you here today that I'm so happy to be in Barclays Center. And when I walked in and I seen Brett, I say, that's Michael, you're Michael. You know what I mean? They're twins, you know what I mean? These guys are just, they're identical twins. And I was looking for, and I love Michael. You know, the Michael is the brother who has the arena down in Fort Lauderdale or down in Florida somewhere. You know, there used to be the Atlantic Center. What do you call it now? Is it a new name?
No, they've changed it all the time.
Yes, well, you know, Enterprise. BC Bank?
BB&T Bank.
Yeah, BB&T. Well, you know, the Yormaks have a knack for getting cash. You know what I mean? So they just flip it, man, and just keep turning. So with Brett and with Michael, they're doing a tremendous job, and I'm very happy to be here in this beautiful center with Jay-Z and Beyonce, all of them that have been a part and parcel of the development here in Brooklyn. We have a great evening of boxing on this Saturday night, and in helping Richard to do his thing, and he's doing magnificently well. And I'm very happy for Kerry Davis that he's still at HBO, and he's still there at the head of boxing, you know what I mean? He's very much needed, and I love you, Kerry. And I think that it's just wonderful that we can have all of those people here to bear witness to greatness and history in the making. You know, I was very impressed with Richard because he was so articulate. He said, and Bernard will make his attempt. You know, that's what it would be, an attempt. You know what I mean? But the mere fact that he can attempt, you got to, you know, he's 5-star. You got to be able to bow your head and bend your knee and confess, thou art the greatest. Because he's a tremendous athlete. He's a great fighter. I love the man. I have no problem at all with him. And I think it would be a crowning achievement for Tavoris to do what he does best, 24-0 to make it 25-0. You know, so if he does this here, there is no loser, and so we all will happen. And you know, you're gonna have people like Harold Letterman. He'll be sitting there with his pencil smoking as he goes from one box to the next box for the rounds. So you're gonna have a really an exciting time. Now, we have a group of people here on this side of the table that is gonna be. I want to bring them up one at a time. You know, Richard approval. I want to first bring up Abel Sanchez. This is the new trainer that we have for Tavoris, and give them just a sample of what Tavoris has been doing up in Big Bear, and it's like a new dimension, you know, because he took Bernard very seriously. So he left Florida, he left North Carolina, and he went to the Big Bear Mountains. You know what I mean? So would you be kind enough, Abel, to come up and address this crowd here? You know what I mean? Because Richard Schaefer and I We're just looking for a great sellout crowd.
Good afternoon. We had a great 8-week training camp. Bernard is a difficult challenge that we're going to conquer. You know, 22 years ago, I brought a young man here to fight another legend, Terry Norris, and nobody gave him a chance. The legend had too many tricks. The legend, too many great fights. And if you all remember the fight, it was a very terrible beating for Ray Leonard. And that's exactly what's going to happen on Saturday night. This legend's going to be retired, and the new star is going to be born. Thank you.
Thank you, Abel. That was a prelude to the act that will take place. We are very happy to be in the presence of a beautiful young lady. Her name is Rosa. Many of you know her, but everybody will know her today, New York, tomorrow, the world. And Rosa is also from Puerto Rico. Viva Puerto Rico! Let me get the little flag out for Puerto Rico. Puerto Rico. Where are we at? Puerto Rico. Bear with me. Where's my Puerto? Here we are. Puerto Rico. Viva Puerto Rico! You know, Miss Rosie Perez, she'll be there with us. She's going to flip the coin. And we're going to abide by the flipping of the coin. And it's just going to be a happy home relationship. Yes, and so it's going to be great that we're going to be able to deal with this here. Now the young man is going to make history because this young man has not been able, because Richard has taken all the dates on HBO. So nobody else can get a chance because he has such a blazing stable. But now we're going to make way. We're going to kick the boardroom door down, and we're going to have something to say to stay. You know, so here's the young man that's going to make it all possible. He's the world champion of the IBF, and we want to thank Darryl Peoples and all of the people at the IBF, you know, Lindsey Tucker and all of those who are part and parcel of that great association. We want to thank HBO and Ken Hirschman, and most especially Richard Schaefer, who says I was asking for money. I was just asking for adjudication. How do you say that? Adjudication? Kerry? Yeah, well, you know, I mean, I just wanted fair play. Because, you know, I had heard that Richard had gotten X amount when he made a deal for me for Y amount. And so naturally, you know what I mean, not knowing that, and Richard is such an honorable guy, I just say, well, Richard, on your honor, you know what I mean? If you did get this, you know what I mean, you know what our agreement was. He said, oh, yes, Don, by all means. He said, blah, blah. And so, you know, it wasn't like asking for more. It would have been more that I would deserve, you know, for me and my fighter, had he gotten what I had heard on the rumor mill. And the late, great Marvin Gaye did it more magnificently than anyone. He heard it on the grapevine that she no longer would be mine. You know what I mean? So you have to be able to deal with it. You know what I mean? So the Barclays Center, we want the poor, the underprivileged, the downtrodden. We want the rich, the elitists. We want every race, color, creed, and religion. There is no discrimination. This is what we are doing, throwing back to the days of old. You know what I mean? When the founding fathers founded this great nation, you know what I mean? One land, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. So we want everybody to come to Barclays on that day, you know what I mean? To pay homage to a great building, an edifice right here in the heart of Brooklyn, and to be able to say, I was there when Richard Schaefer started crying. And I couldn't believe that a handsome man like Richard Schaefer would start to crying, you know, because he's a terrific guy, you know what I mean? But he's very emotional, you know what I mean? So therefore, that passion and emotion, it would overtake him on Saturday night. I can hardly wait. I want all the cameras to be on Richard. Wait a minute. I want all the cameras to be on him. I want to see his eyes get teary, you know what I mean, as he stands up, but he has to come and hug Bernard, because I will be there to hug Bernard, because Bernard is ever ready. He's always trying, ever diligent, and he perseveres. So, but this young man I'm about to introduce you now, he's hungry. He needs the money. He wants the fame and acclaim, and the affluence has been denying him. And now this is his opportunity in the land of opportunity. And where did he receive it? From Richard Schaefer's HBO and Brett how you say your name? Yormark, yes. And they all participated, not willingly, because they all think that Bernard is going to win. That's clear to day. You know what I mean? But that's what they're supposed to think. You got a genius sitting beside me here. He's a man that not only works with his fist and his physical fitness, he works with his brain. He has all the different moves. He knows exactly what to do, when to do, and how to do. But if he gets stopped in the middle, that's what it is, surprise, surprise, surprise. And this young man has that power to do that. There's another guy from Brownsville up here named Michael Tyson, who was one of the most greatest knockout artists in the history of the boxing. And we're going to have Michael Tyson here. We're going to be able to deal with all of yesterday, today, and tomorrow. So allow me the honor and the privilege of bringing up this young champion, because I'm going to take him to Russia with me. You know, we're going to Russia with love. You know what I mean? And we got the big fight in Russia with Guillermo Jones and Lebedev. That would be on May 17th. So you tune in. You may can't get to Russia. You know what I mean? Maybe I can get HBO or something to do something, you know, just to give them something. But you'll get the rules, because we going over with Vladimir Putin, and I went to Panama with my family. We are family, Ricardo Martinelli and me. And Ricardo Martinelli is the president. So we're going to have a great show there. And then we're going to Germany. So right now, we're in New York. And I'm going to give you a guy that has the devastating power. You know, it's unbelievable what he can do and what you heard Abel Sanchez said he will do. But I like to say, this young man, you know, you got to meet and greet him. You're going to fall in love with him because he's going to fight for the people. He don't want to be just a champion for himself. He wants to be a champion for the people. And so let me bring him up without further ado. The light heavyweight champion of the world, soon to be the undisputed light heavyweight champion of the world, Tavoris Thundercloud, and the weather's there. Thunder, lightning, Tavoris.
Thank you, Don. Good evening, Brooklyn. Once again, I would like to thank the Barclays Center, thank HBO, Bernard Hopkins, everybody on his team that helped put together this fight. You know, I feel good because my whole life I watched boxing. My whole life I watched boxing, and you see those guys fighting on TV, and you say, man, I could do that. I wish that was me, you know, give me a chance, you know. If I was up there, I'd do it like this, I'd do it like that. And, you know, fighting a fighter like Bernard Hopkins, who is supposed to be a legend, it puts me in that frame of mind that, you know, Clyde, you know what, you stayed in the game, you kept working hard, and now you're gonna get your shot to be on TV and be in a fight like that. So it's really exciting for me. It's really exciting for me. So from the jump, from the start, it put me on my toes. You know, it really put me on my toes. But I know this Saturday I'm gonna be victorious because I'm gonna put on a great show. Also, I want to thank my amateur coach, the man that it all started with, Alonzo Johnson, bringing me in that gym, never turning his back on me. And me and Coach, you know, we started at the bottom, just like you say. Just because you were born at the bottom, don't mean you got to stay at the bottom. So we gonna put that bologna way in the back, cause we gonna go get us some steak after this. I want to thank Abel Sanchez, my new trainer, for allowing me to come into his training camp and bring me in like one of his own. We train very hard up in Big Bear. I'm ready. You know, I'm ready. And I just feel like standing up here, I just feel like I feel different, feel like I can't be beat. I mean, I always felt like that. You know, you gotta feel like that being a fighter, but I just feel like it's a different type of energy because really I feel like I beat so many odds that, you know, similar to Bernard Hopkins, you know, I feel like I beat so many odds like, the hell is another fight? You know, I don't really care about another fight. You know, I mean, you go into the fight, you put everything into it, but you know, I feel kind of invincible, you know. But it's gonna be a good fight. So, thank you once again, and I hope everybody come out Saturday, check out the fight. And
just do your thing, man.
yeah, I'm trying to hear what you're saying back there too. Yeah, so Saturday, y'all come out and watch Tavoris Cloud, you know, and watch all this stuff. Watch all come to fruition, cause you know God, He brought me out of nowhere. I know He ain't about to turn His back on me now, so I ain't worried about all the criticism, what people might say, but we gonna have a good time. All right.
Thank you, boy. You just brought in the Lord, and that's when you did that. You did it, so we got to give Richard his just due for putting on a masterpiece, and I'm just happy to be a part of it. And Richard, all I ask is that we can give another champion a 10-bell count with you and Kerry, if it's all right, on the type, and that's for Hugo Chavez, a 10-bell count for a champion. But you got a magnificent show, and you are brilliant. And I just can't wait to see those golden tears as they roll in your eyes, because they're tears of love. Richard Schaefer, y'all, golden blood.
They're going to be tears of joy. Welcoming yet Bernard with another record, the oldest man ever to win a world championship. And it's really interesting. You can go on YouTube and listen to the speech up in Canada, which Jean Pascal gave. And we all know what happened. Bernard in the middle round started to do push-ups. So in the middle of the ring, so don't be surprised if you're going to see that again. Bernard Hopkins really doesn't need any introduction. What he has accomplished speaks for itself. I was fortunate almost 10 years ago to be part of those amazing accomplishments, well, it's actually started with the KO of Oscar de la Hoya. I wasn't so happy about that. But then from there on, we formed a pact, and all of you thought it's going to last less than a year. I think that was the over-under, and here we are 10 years later, and yet making history together again, Bernard. And I know you will do it, and I'm going to be right there with you, as I was when you did your 20th title defense against Howard Eastman, or Antonio Tarver and Kelly Pavlik at Boardwalk. Nobody thought you were going to pull that off, and you sure did. Or as I said before, when you did the push-ups in Canada, make sure you're going to be here. Bring your children, because this is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to see that at age 48, to become world champion yet again. Before I'm going to introduce the executioner, I'd like to introduce his trainer, legend in himself, who has trained many great fighters and was there with Bernard in all of those accomplishments which I just listed. And that, of course, is Naseem Richardson. Please, Naseem, come on up.
Thank you, Richard. Assalamu alaikum. I'd like to thank everybody coming out. Briefly, I'd like to thank my team, Sharif, Danny, Malik, Kelly, Lisa Milner, and everybody who's been very supportive in helping us move along to get to where we are today. I'd like to thank everybody coming out to Barclays Center and everybody who's been involved with HBO. Ms. Melvina Lathan, I don't know how you do it. Every year, I get more grade and you get prettier, so I don't know how you accomplish it, but I'd like to thank you and the New York Commission. And very quickly, I'd like to bring up a point. And it's an uncomfortable point for my athlete because we disagree on this. He doesn't want me to bring it up, but I'm going to bring it up anyway. in the sense that you hear people talk about Bernard and the tricks, and Bernard's this kind of fighter, and he's that kind of fighter, he's a very tricky fighter, and he's crafty. And then I have to ask you, can Bernard Hopkins fight? Because they make it sound like mentally he's beating all of these people. I watched him throw right hands and never hook and beat these people. The man can fight. He's not gotten in anybody's head. It's not mental games. It's not smoke and mirrors. The man can fight. And as I say in his defense, because he won't say it for himself, I'm tired of the way they actually judge him a different way. I watch the way that they actually judge his fights a different way. Whereas though if there's no action going on, it's Bernard's fault. They say Bernard was in jail, so that means pretty much you can go do whatever you want to do to Bernard Hopkins, because he's not allowed to complain if you put an elbow in his throat or if you hit him in the back of his head, which are things I've seen happen to my athlete. Because he's been in jail, he shouldn't be allowed to complain because a man punched him in the back of his head and he came to the corner blind. And this is wrong. And this is the wrong signal we send out to these young athletes. The fairness and the rules were put in place for every single athlete. You call him a dirty fighter and I can't find where they've ever taken a point from him. I've never seen a man disqualified. You know, so what I'm saying is be fair. Understand what you're watching. Some people say Bernard Hopkins' style of boxing is to the point where judges don't even know how to judge him anymore, because it's a throwback style of boxing. Boxing, if you want fighting, there's another sport out there that does nothing but that. Boxing is an art. It's in the art that I pass on to my athletes is to swim without getting wet. Boxing's not here for you knock me down, I knock you down, then that's fight of the year. Or you lump I watch a young kid, I'm not gonna say his name, but I've known him, young kid out of Florida. Box his behind off and all they did was criticize him. Then the kid got in a fight where both his eyes got closed and he was against the ropes the whole fight, and they praised him. Boxing. I have an athlete who boxes his behind off. Now, I'm gonna tell you right now so you don't get upset. Bernard Hopkins has already left the building. Bernard Hopkins is going back home, I believe, but he will be here ringside to see the fight. Don't worry, because the executioner is still here. And the executioner will be here Saturday. And for those of you who've been on that long journey, who've seen it from years going by, Mr. Letterman and quite a few faces I've seen out there, you guys have been watching him for years, you'll be able to say, that's the execution. I remember him. Because that's what you'll see Saturday. This young man I've been watching since he was an amateur fighter. Outstanding young man. Actually, I think he's underrated myself. This kid Cloud, I think he's underrated. For you, talk about the Capillo fight, I don't even count that fight. I don't even count that fight. Because the man, like I said, Capillo wasn't taken as a serious threat as he should have been. But that's youth, and he's learned. You're going to see the best Cloud you've ever seen come up against the execution. And you're going to have to. Because like I said, Saturday, for those of y'all that can remember, not Bernard Hopkins and not B-Hop. Saturday you will see the return of the execution. And for those of you who can remember, you know exactly what I'm talking about. And I've seen him in the gym. Men don't get old overnight. That's a rumor. Your fighter might get old overnight. There's no such thing as getting old overnight. A guy got old in the gym. I work with older fighters. They get old in the gym, but there's too many people around them not wanting to tell them the truth. So then it looks like they're old overnight, but they showed that in the gym. So I watched very closely in the gym, and I saw the return of the execution. So like I said, I thank you for your patience, and I thank you for your time. But like I said, Saturday, you'll see the execution. Thank everybody for coming out.
Ladies and gentlemen, can I say, the executioner.
On his behalf, like I said, anybody here ever seen an executioner coming to the podium with an axe and then have a conversation? I'm trying to tell y'all, this is the athlete that I have. My athlete is back. The executioner is back. This is what you'll see Saturday. Thank you for coming out.
All right. Before we are going to conclude the press conference, I like to do two more things. One of them is right after the fight is going to be Fight Game from Jim Lampley from here from the Barclays Center live right after the fights, and it's going to be from the 40-40 Club. And then what we want to do as well, you already mentioned it, Don, we have Rosie Perez here. a beautiful actress, world renowned of course, and she is going to be doing the coin flip under the supervision of the chairwoman of the Athletic Commission, Melvina Latham, and it's going to be head for Hopkins and T for Tavoris. So if we can get that going, thank you.
Don't feel bad, Richard. The executioner is he's here. We understand he's here.
I saw you were scared.
Yes, don't feel bad. Everything will be all right. This ain't conventional, your way. It ain't conventional, Jerry. But it's out of the box. And Rosie Perez, what is it?
Heads, okay? Thank you.
So who's going? Who's walking first?
Thank you, Rosie.
We will have Bernard walk second.
It's all right. We okay. We okay. Everything is good. And we're here in the hood, right here in Brooklyn. That is so great.
All right, thank you very much. We're going to have Tavoris here for any one-on-ones. And Kelly, I guess the executioner has left the building. Okay.
Yes, we'll take pictures, you know.